Do you know how many types of real estate purchases there are? And every purchase requires a different approach. Even more reason to hire the expert real estate professional in that field. Let's go into the residential. So we have resale owner-occupied properties. Much easier to work with where you have the seller living in the property, lining up dates. They have invested interest in selling that property. So it'll be really well maintained for the most part, and it will look good. And it'll just be easier to work with altogether. Pre-sale properties. That means that you're basically buying from a floor plan and rendered specs and so forth. There's technically a hole in the ground at the time of your purchase. You would have to be more flexible with the completion and possession dates, as even though they set out in the contract, those could be moved, and there's some flexibility that's absolutely required. Also, your deposit money, it could be 10-20%, is tied up until that development is finished, which is, it could be a year, 2 years or more. Resale tenant properties, some things to consider. How long is the lease? Are they still on a year lease or are they on a month to month? Who gives the notice? Is it the landlord? Or are you going to purchase the property and then give them proper notice? Get familiar with the Tenancy Act. If you are purchasing a tenanted occupied property, is it you or your immediate family moving into the property, or are you assuming that tenant? Are the rents enough to cover your mortgage or enough for you to be able to deal with the expenses that are going to incur? Estate sales. Has probate been granted? Or do we have to wait? Probate could take 3 months to 2 years. It depends how complicated it is. It could take a long time, or it could be really, really quick. How long has the property been vacant? It's usually sold by an executor, family member. So these people might not know anything about the property. So there won't be any disclosures. If you have specific questions, they may not have those answers. Power of attorney sales. This is when the owner of the property is not able to, for whatever reason, if it's medical, if they're ill, too old, or out of the country, able to make decisions or sign on behalf of the sale. So they will get somebody to have power of attorney to sign on their behalf. Just like with the estate sales, a lot of the times there's not going to be disclosures. These people wouldn't know the home intimately, so they wouldn't be able to tell the buyer much about the property. More reason to do your due diligence as a purchaser. Strata properties, townhomes, condos, and some bare land strata subdivisions as well. Really important to review all the strata documents. So you will get, for example, financials, meeting minutes, AGMs, SGMs, depreciation reports. Form B has a contingency reserve fund on it, how much they have in that savings account for in case of emergencies. What does the strata fee look like, and what does it cover? What are the rules and regulations? Do you have a pet and they don't allow pets possibly? It's going to be really important to know. And there is so much more. Ordered sales. In this situation, foreclosures. And I will do a whole video on this, as this is quite in-depth. Basically, with foreclosures, the tricky thing is the property is sold as is, where is. There's not really a seller. There's no warranties. You are taking a risk. You are putting a blind bid in. You usually will not know what the other people are offering. And again, I'm going to do another video. So watch that one. It's going to be in depth on the whole process of foreclosures in that way. There are other court-ordered sales, but for the most common one, it would be foreclosures. And commercial sales. So there's tons and tons of different types of commercial sales and leases. I'm not going to dive too much into that, but know if you want to buy a commercial, talk to a professional. Is it a business being sold? Is it land and building? Is it a lease? What are we looking at? So there's a lot of things to consider there. Definitely get the help that you need, and good luck.